Okay, guys, thank you so much. We will now be welcoming to the stage Sandro Knöpfel. I can almost do that last name, to present a masterclass, Enabling Trust Through Decentralized Secure Identity. Please help me welcome him to the stage.
Thank you so much. Lovely. It's great to be back, to be here again. It was actually, fun fact, 4 years ago, the first time at CVC downstairs, and I've started a presentation back then with trust, because when we go back, what was blockchain being aimed for? We want to create a new social and financial system where we can re-establish trust. And today we speak about trust through decentralized identity. So back to the topic of trust. And the big problem we face is that trust is actually collapsing on a global stage. We see this amongst various aspects. I'm speaking a lot to enterprises, nation states. As an example, one of the big issues is how secure is my data when I look into a global environment and I store my data with one of the service providers as I have them today, which is mostly driven out of the US. How can they access my data based on the Cloud Act, based on FISA? There are various different ways how data can be accessed, compromised, or actually blocked, depending on your status, being it that you unfortunately land off a sanction list or whatsoever. So it becomes a very, very big topic, and we at the Cardano Foundation want to address this, because building critical infrastructure, which is our core mission, is actually very close tied to identity. Everything on the net, every data has an identity, and I will come back to this in a bit more detail. So when you speak about digital trust issues, in a very bold way, we can say we are in a new era where nothing can be trusted which is on the web. We know this when we speak about actually fraud from impersonating. So back in the days, we believed a bit that if I'm being approached by you, that I trust that it's your email address. Over the years, we have experienced that we have these fraudulent attempts, which in the early days have been a bit easier to identify. We can look into is there a spelling mistake, grammar mistake, whatsoever. You can identify some of the things, but they're becoming more professional. And it's not only text, but it's also video these days. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure if there would be an expert in here, by the end of this 30 minutes, someone could actually right now record my voice and my face and put a video on YouTube which mimics my movements, my voice, and share fraudulent information or tries to create some incentives which are not coming from me. So the personal impersonation is a very, very big topic which affects individuals, enterprises, nation states amongst the world. Cybercrime is becoming more trivial. So back in the days, it did cost also a bit something to attack a large enterprise, or let's say the United Nations on scale. You needed to put quite some money in there. You need to social engineer a bit behavior, security systems, and this became more trivial due to the rise of AI. AI is a key contributor when you think about how we interact today with each other, but also how I learn about yourself. So the more information I have, I can start to easily dig into your personal behavior, and with large language models, we can actually create easy attack vectors and thus spam enterprise and governments on a global scale. So this is a big issue we face today, and we have heard it before as well a bit on the presentation when we speak about the different type of identifications. Just to give you a couple of numbers, I don't want to bore you too long here, but we do see 30,000 websites are being compromised on a daily basis. Just when you imagine this, this is quite a heavy hit. But even more incredible is actually the rise in AI-fueled fraud search. It's over there on the map. You can see these numbers are percentages. So AI really, really fools these attack vectors. And how can we prevent it? This is where I'm coming back to. Now, there has been a very nice data breach report from IBM in 2024. And I want to just ask the audience here quickly, what do you feel on average once a data breach contains? How much time does it take on average an enterprise to identify this breach? Do we speak about minutes, hours, days, weeks, months? What would you assume? Weeks? 6 months?
Until the data appears in the dark net.
Perfect. That's a very nice answer, and that's true. When we be more on the analytics here, it's 258 days. So what does this tell us? If the data breach happens today, the attacker has 258 days to actually go Wild West on your data, find relevant data, temper data, misuses data. And this is where the problem lies. We cannot react on time to actually fight these attack vectors. So the need for verifiable future is to actually recognize the data source immutably. So if I receive an email, a phone call, whatever it is, I need to identify the source of the sender in an irrevocable way, which needs to be trusted. We need to verify this. It needs to be globally spanning. Globally, it's not only when we speak about geographically, but it's also industry agnostic. So we need to apply this amongst different industries and standards. Standards is something which I think it's very important here as well to be mentioned. And we need to actually have organizational identity. I'm coming back to this. We have heard it in the previous presentation that we have different identities, and I will allude to this a bit. And organizational identity is paramount in our view. So imagine a world, and again here we heard a bit of that before, but where you can actually trust that all the responses or the requests you receive are legit. So just assume your bank is sending you an email. I have this every now and then that I receive emails, texts or whatsoever from banks, DHL, many brands which claim to have an issue and want to have some sensitive data from me, and they're becoming better and better. We have seen it this year. Post-finance has been once a bit the target. They're really good in faking the logo, the way they articulate themselves, and also the email addresses. So it becomes more complicated. Now imagine a way where you don't have to be scared, ooh, is this legit? But where you know by heart, due to a verifiable credential, it must be from you. It cannot be from another source. That would be amazing, wouldn't it be? We heard it before, the password issue. We all struggle. Every couple of weeks or months, depending on the application and websites you use, you need to change your password. They're becoming more complex. You have hundreds of passwords. How do you manage them? Most likely, you use the same password over and over again, which is a huge attack vector, so please don't do it. The other side is you can run a spreadsheet, which is also not that ideal. Then you can use password manager whatsoever, confederated systems. That's a problem. Now imagine, what is a federated system doing? It helps you to be easily navigating yourself among browsers, not using every time a new password, but having a federated password manager with, as an example, Google whatsoever, you also allow them to track your activities and your behavior, so you become a bit transparent here. So imagine a world where you don't have passwords and no confederated logins, but you have your own identity which will be applicable amongst your journey in the web. Pitching attempts, as I mentioned a bit before, would be pretty much impossible, because if I have this enterprise-grade identity, I cannot impersonate to be from DHL without being there and having an identity which is actually issued and verified through the relevant issuer and verifier. So security breaches, coming back to the 258 days we have seen before, they can also, if something happens, will be detected immediately, and you can stop the attacker before he actually gets access to your data, to your sensitive data. This would be the dream. That's what we are aiming for. And what did we do at the Cardano Foundation to address this, to achieve this? Is we had a couple of workshops. We traveled around the globe speaking with different identity solutions. And I agree with you, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are good solutions out there. So it's not on us to build something from scratch, but find the right partners to do this. And we find the right partners with CARI. CARI stands for Key Event Receipt Infrastructure. And it's a fully decentralized solution. This is very important at our heart, that it is truly decentralized. We see a lot of identity solutions out there. The Swiss government goes a bit a similar way now with the EID in the first iteration, where it's somewhat decentralized, but not fully decentralized, but that's a challenge we are taking there as well. So they are building an identity, or they have built a protocol which is for critical infrastructure and critical security. And I will give some examples as well. And this is what is actually we are looking for when we speak with our target audience and how we actually imagine the web to be looked at in the future. So it also has global interoperability at scale. That means it's applicable for financial services, healthcare, universities, academia, whatever you want to have. It's globally applicable amongst borders. You can go cross borders and cross industries. It supports GDPR. It's relevant. And again, here we heard that before GDPR becomes a pain, and not a little pain, but a big pain for pretty much everyone who is involved with it. How can you be more efficient and cost efficient, but also timely with GDPR issues? And this is being addressed with Carry as well. It is post-quantum resistant. Why is this important? I think we all know kind of why it is important, but it's also, I don't want to create an identity today which I need to replace in 5 years or in 10 years. Ideally, I have my identity and it's with me for a lifetime. So post-quantum resistancy for us as well was kind of key feature when we decided who we are going to work with. It actually allows this organizational identity I mentioned before, and here I can give you some examples then a little bit later on, but this is really going back to what we heard before. Organizational identity, we have the organization, you have departments, you have teams, you have individuals. These individuals maybe have different roles within the company, then they have a private identity as well, and this needs to be managed, and Carry allows an infrastructure to actually issue these type of identities. From the digital trust venture, Timothy Roof and 2 colleagues from Glyph, we have this nice sentence, which is the ability of a person or thing to prove their authority to represent an organization outside the boundaries of that organization. It sounds maybe a bit complicated, but the key is outside the boundaries. So it's easily to identify that I'm a legit actor in my company within the company. But how do you know that I'm authorized to stay here and speak on behalf of the Cardano Foundation? You just believe CVC did their job, but you don't know. So how can you verify these type of things? And you see that we have Glyph here. And Glyph, for us as well, it's a reputable and trusted partner on this journey where we speak to very closely. I'm not sure if you know about Glyph. Glyph is the Global Legal Entity Identifier Foundation. They have been established actually post the subprime crisis in 2008, where the Financial Stability Board and the G20 realized, hey, we don't know what is the exposure towards the financial institutions. The prominent one was Lehman Brothers. So no one knew exactly the exposure amongst the different entities of Lehman Brothers. So they, G20, then gave the order to F for the Financial Stability Board. They established Glyph, and Glyph issues the LEI, the Legal Entity Identifier, to millions of enterprises that we have a clear system how they can be identified. Glyph also has verifiable LEIs, which they worked on for the past couple of months and years. Verifiable LEIs are built on the same technology as ours, on Carry, and this allows the so-called VLEIs, the Verifiable Legal Entity Identifier. And this is an accepted or accepted standard, which also complies with an ISO standard, which I don't have on top of my head right now, unfortunately. And can be applied in critical infrastructure as, again, VLEI for healthcare, VLEI for financial services, and amongst others. So this is something which can be scaled and is accepted in the market. And this is something which for us was relevant by choosing the right partner. So we built our identity wallet, which is called Veridian, or the Veridian platform. It's not only a wallet, it's an infrastructure piece based on the Carry protocol, which is actually the backbone. And I think you're going to have a quick video here.
How do you empower trust in every interaction? And how do you know it's authentic once you do? In healthcare, data compliance protects patients. In supply chains, source validation supports transparency. And in finance, network security prevents fraud. Across industries, identity verification is the foundation of trust. Yet existing solutions fall short. Last year, data breaches affected 1.7 billion records in America. Why? because we give up control of our credentials, data, and digital identity. Take back control with Viridian, an open-source digital identity platform. With Viridian, your organization can protect user data and prevent fraud, support enhanced credential issuance, and ensure interoperability with verifiable data. And with the Viridian wallet, these features are right in your pocket, making self-sovereign identity simple. Privacy first, enterprise grade, future-proof. Discover how Viridian empowers trust in every interaction.
So obviously for us, the whole cryptography was at the heart, and that what's the backbone on the solution we are speaking about. So Viridian, as you have seen, is a platform. We don't only speak about a wallet. There is an identity wallet which is available on the app stores for iOS and Android, but there is more to it. So it's actually the first in the world carry wallet with VLEI integration. Again, here, this is becoming very important when we speak about enterprise-grade and government-grade adoption and collaborations. I will give you an example, 2 examples afterwards. And it has this enterprise-grade infrastructure, which also includes a sandbox. So if we want to scale here with enterprise, we understand from our own journey, it's a very, very complex topic. It's not easy. How can you be interoperable with different systems, being it legacy systems, being it with new Web3 applications? And here, it's actually a way where you can quite easily or start to integrate with Viridian, and also we support you with our team on the infrastructure side to make this happen. It also allows you to have white label solutions for most of the enterprises and organizations important if you want to run your identity stack. I will give you an example of one of our collaborations we have with UNDP, that's the United Nations Development Program, where they said, okay, we want to white label this, so it should not run under Viridian, but under our own label, which you often see in traditional businesses. So again, it's a light touch integration is optional with Cardano as well. So here we actually look into the complexity of the organization, the partner we are working with, to allow a tailored integration based on the complexity which needs to be achieved. On top of this, we are building and we are working on the credential management systems, on the browser integration. It's clear to us that speaking with enterprises, governments, etc., and so on, you need to have a smooth browser integration and not only a mobile wallet. So these are things which are being deployed soon. So this is what we are working on. And we also have the document signing. Document signing, you all know DocuSign and some others. How can you directly integrate this into such an identity tool? We have this document signing integrated directly. We always try to learn from experience and apply it a bit in an environment where we can get critical feedback. So last year, during the International Identity Workshop in the US, amongst some of the largest brands, we attended, and we had kind of a POC or use case where we had our identity wallet for the browser interaction with the web shop, with the workshop, where people actually created their identity to interact through the browser. Then how does this look like in reality as well? Blockchain always has a bit this problem that it's not really nice. The user experience is not the best. And here it's really going back a bit to your environment you're used to. So give an easy to read to environment, having dashboards that's from a sandbox environment, which you can actually get access through our team, where you can build with you, where you see actually the activities, the interaction, the numbers of the platform you are using, and you manage your clients, your employees, or whatever identities you issue can also be a product. On the product side, I'll come back. I think that's very important. Here, just an example on how such a PDF looks like. You have an NDA here, and you can directly sign with your digital identity on Viridian and verify, which is verifiable on the document directly. I will give you 3 use cases quickly just to showcase a bit what does it mean from a different level. So we have Tadamon, which I mentioned a bit before, which is from the UNDP, so the United Nations Development Program. We have Guild 1 and the Cardano ballot. So with Tadamon, that's actually within the UNDP, an organization or a project which works with the Islamic Development Bank and the Islamic Sustainable Federation Department to support, I think it's amongst 57 member countries, fight against poverty. And they can't do it themselves. So what they have is so-called CSOs, that's civil social organizations. So that's private people. They're building a civil organization, and they would like to support. So they need to fulfill quite a lot of requirements to be accepted as a certified CSO by the UNDP or here by Tadamon, as they're being called. And this process is very cumbersome. And once they are being certified by you, how can you transmit this data amongst different silos? So when you think back when I said what's important is outside the boundaries. So I can easily transfer your message in our siloed system, but how give it away in another system? And when you think about 57 countries, these things become very trivial, very important. So Tadamon, actually, we have this platform built, which you see it's white labeled with the Tadamon logo, everything, and they can verify identities and verifiable credentials here to Yaloyar with the CSO certificate, which can be verified amongst their journey when they want to claim, as an example, goods. So if there is a transportation of food and they want to claim it for distribution, they can verify that they are a trusted partner of the UNDP and Tadamon and thus get access in a more efficient way. Another one is with Guild 1, which I mentioned. Guild 1 also here important. We speak about interoperability. That's systems from legacy systems to Web3, but also within the Web3 space when you speak from private and public permissionless blockchains. So Corda, you probably know R3 Corda is a private permission blockchain. Corda and Cardano is a public permissionless blockchain. If you have questions, we have a booth downstairs. Please join us, and happy to answer all these questions. So here they built a bridge to actually allow a private environment which uses Cardano as a trust layer. But what's important here when you speak about VLEIs and we spoke about the different levels, what they did is actually, this is Alberta here, and every single red dot, I mean, this is insane, is an orphaned or abandoned wells. So that's a wells in Alberta, which most likely leaves methane. Methane is one of the most it's harmful thing for the environment, right? So, yeah, thank you. Greenhouse gas. So this leaks into the air. They are abundant. They are orphaned, so no one cares. So what they did is actually they are tackling this problem, but to get the right financing for these wells, they need to prove what is happening. So what they did is actually they are putting VLEIs on the projects, on the companies, on the wells, and they have sensors in the soil and with satellites, and they are measuring the greenhouse on it. Then there will be snapshots. They can be claimed. They are verified by the project through the wells. And then you have a verifier. You can imagine in the old days, you have an auditor whatsoever, which actually also verifies that the data is coming from the wells. And with this, you can create a verifiable credential, which gives a traceable and an immutable way to track the impact. So if they have today XYZ of kilos or tons, and due to an investment and the seeding, they can actually prove how these numbers go down thanks to these type of transparent solutions. And this is something which is very, very important. So identity is not only you and me and our employee and the CVC, but it's also any type of good where you need to have a verification against. Another use case we did as well, we also try to challenge a bit our own community. So during our summit last year, we always have these award ceremonies where we awarding the best projects amongst different categories. And it's not on us to vote who shall win, but that shall be the community. And for community to actually participate to vote, we had the Cardano ballot, which was backed with identity solution to avoid that you have double voting, that you actually have some misuse of the ballot itself. And this obviously becomes important when we speak about elections, when we speak about proxy votings in the traditional way. How can you prove proxy votings? Not sure if some of you are in financial services. Shareholder right directives addressing this, but they're very cumbersome to fulfill in today's system. That's a huge problem. And how can you make these things smoother? And this is exactly where a solution like Veridian gives added value and resolves all these pain points. So Veridian And the wallet is live. You can download the wallet. You can create an identity. And we have a team of experts. You see identity solutions at Red.id, but you can take a picture or just visit us in our booth here downstairs, and we're happy to actually answer questions, but also to help you if you're enterprise, if you're working for an enterprise, representing one, wants to learn more how it can be implemented in your organization. And for this also, we are supporting with masterclasses. So what we do is we enable masterclasses for enterprise who want to learn more about identity and blockchain as such. We have a free masterclass we offer either on-site or virtually. Please make use of it, join us and learn more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sandro. It's been great, actually. Everyone's been really on time today, so I really appreciate that. Otherwise, my job is to wag my finger at you. So thank you so much to Sandro and the Cardano Foundation. As he said, they do have a booth downstairs where you can come by and chat with him if you have any questions from the presentation today as well. So I'll let you guys adjust if you need to, and then we'll have Row Labs up next in just 1 second.